Baby, what a morning. We got Brian Baldinger in studio up until 9 o'clock. He's been with us all show long. Good morning, everybody out there getting up their graveyard shift. If you're at work, what is happening? If you're on those roadways, drive safely. Good morning to all the longshoremen, engineers, teachers, cops, firefighters, you name it, students. As we get ready for this last hour, talking some football. Niners and Bucks Sunday at Levi Stadium. Brock Purdy's first start. And it happens to be it's the greatest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady, possibly the greatest football player of all time, Tom Brady. That'll go down in Levi Stadium, 125 kickoff, 888-957-9570. Ask Baldy anything about this game coming up on Sunday. What up, Shasky?
Yeah, I want to start here with the 49ers. Losing your starting quarterback, and I get Trey was the starter to begin with, and you lose Jimmy Garoppolo. It feels like you lost two starters in the same year, even though we didn't know what Trey was going to eventually become. How many games do you think the Niners can win here? Or is it just take it week by week? Because that's kind of the approach Bonte and I have been taking, Baldy. And yet a lot of fans are like, they can still win it all. It's like, all right, we got to get into the playoffs first. Mm-hmm. And then you got to see who you're going up against and see where the other teams are at. Like, if you're a 49er fan, how would you approach these coming weeks?
Well, I mean, the cliche answer is you got to take it a week at a time. You got Seattle coming up, in Seattle. I mean, it's going to be a big game.
Yeah,
quick turnaround.
So what Geno just did, last week to DK, like DK and Lockett are a problem, and Geno's playing great. He's playing better than Russell Wilson has over the last 3 years. He's been really, really good.
Really?
He's been unbelievable. I mean, he doesn't make mistakes. And he sees the field, and, the offensive line, you got two rookies out there. We'll see Charles Cross against Nick Bosa. They have Abraham Lucas over there at right tackle. I mean, those are guys that you have to beat. But, this is a big game because, Tampa is 6-6. I don't think they've been above 500 yet. So, they have a chance to get there. But they're just such a hard team to watch because they can't run the ball. I don't know if Fournette's going or not, but it doesn't matter. Rashad White, he's had one good game this year, rookie. Caught the winning touchdown pass last week. Defensively, they're a good team. They went through a stretch where they just beat themselves. They made one mistake after another. I called them out. You can't keep making mistakes. Against Pittsburgh, they made one mistake after another. Right. But offensively, they don't throw the deep ball well. They're a passing team, and so it's a short passing game. And can they convert third downs or not? And a lot of times, on last Monday night, they couldn't convert these third downs.
What about their linebackers? Because we love their linebacker play, in general, Is that kind of the recipe against a team like the 49ers where you're going to try to hit all that underneath stuff and you got McCaffrey and Debo and Ayuk and, the short controlled passing game? Is that what can kind of slow down the Niners?
It can. I mean, Devin White is a playmaker. He's really fast. He's 245 pounds. He can bring some thump to the game. Levante David is really smart. He just, there's an old saying as a linebacker, you know the formation, you know the play. Know the formation, know the play. Fred Warner does the same thing. Levante's their Fred Warner, and so those two guys have to make a lot of plays. Vita Vea is a problem inside.
Gotcha.
It's just straight Polynesian power.
Yeah.
So Aaron Banks, these guys are going to get tested by his power inside. I don't think they're great off the edges. They lost their best pass rusher in Shaq Barrett. So I think they're a little bit limited. Their corners, and I don't know if Winfield's playing or not. He didn't play last week. He's a really good player. But Jamel Dean and Carlton Davis, I mean, these are good players. You got to beat them one-on-one.
So can you run the ball on them? That's question number one, I guess. And will Purdy have time to throw the football against his high-flying
I think it's how you run the ball. I think you can run it on them, but it's how you run it. If you just said, okay, we're going to line up and just pound it right at them, I don't think you're going to do very much with that.
How have they done in the past against McCaffrey? Because obviously McCaffrey was in that division with Carolina, see Tampa Bay twice a year. How have those linebackers fared against Christian McCaffrey?
Well, you get those guys in space, and McCaffrey's going to beat anybody in space. If you're matched up with them, and he starts putting that Steph Curry crossover dribble on you, he's going to separate from you. Now they don't do a ton with them like that in San Francisco. They ran a couple plays last week for him like that, but I feel like sometimes Kyle has so much that there's a thing about just coming back and just repeating plays. In the passing game,
right?
Until they stop it, just doubling plays up. Mm-hmm. And I kind of feel like Kyle gets away from that Because you got this whole menu of plays. Let's go to this one on third down. We haven't used this one. What about plays that just work?
Right.
Make them stop you. Like, I feel like sometimes you don't need a whole menu.
What's his weakness? Because I do believe there's times you could feel it. Like you're watching it and it's boom, 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 hot knife through butter with the offense. Then there's other times it feels so constipated. Is that just a byproduct of the NFL? Is that Kyle? Like what is the weakness in the play
It's really that is what you're talking about is, are they converting third downs when they get to third downs? Can they stay on the field? Because if you can stay on the field, you can find that rhythm. Yeah. You can find those plays, especially in the run game. You need carries to figure out. You don't know. Some days, literally, you come off the field as an offensive lineman, and you're sitting there, and you're going, okay, how do we get the freaking Mike linebacker blocked? Like we can't get to him. And so you go, okay, now you're kind of, do we pin and pull? Do we fold? Like, do we bring a wide receiver in to come up? Like, so there's options. But you have to figure that option out. And if you're just off the field 3 and out, like you can't get to that rhythm where the wind back play is working behind Juice.
Right.
Or the outside zone with Juice and Kittle blocking the edge, is there. Like every game is going to provide certain runs. Like that cutback by McCaffrey at the end of the game.
Incredible.
But Trent got his guy down the ground. He kind of blocked 2 on the play, and it opened up. If you don't get cracks at that during the game, and they ran the ball a lot in the second half last week. If you don't get cracks like that and stay on the field, you might never get to that play.
So the best third down conversion rate in the NFL, top 5 teams.
Give them to me.
Number 1, Buffalo. Number 2, Kansas City. Number 3, Cincinnati. Number 4, Philly. Number 5, the 49ers.
Interesting.
Okay.
Because I would say that those are 4 of the better quarterbacks this year, although Josh has turned it over a lot. Like, wouldn't you say, like, those are 4 of the top?
Josh is that threat, on third downs.
Yeah.
And so is Jalen Hurts.
Yep.
So those two guys,
like
I've watched, every snap that Jalen Hurts has had, but I live in Philly. So, his ability to just pull the ball down and know where the first down marker is to get it. Same thing with Josh. Like, they give you that. Mahomes does the same thing. Like, and Burrow last week ran it 3 times on third downs for first downs.
On Jalen Hurts for a second, because my overall sentiment, we've been peppering you with questions about the 49er quarterback. You feel a little reluctant on Trey Lance. Like that's and I get it. There's not a lot there. You feel a little reluctant, and I'm not trying to pin you down or anything. Did you feel that way with Jalen Hurts a year ago, 2 years ago?
Well, look, he started the last 4 games. In fact, it was yesterday was the 2-year anniversary of Jalen Hurts being named the starter.
Yeah.
Okay, so he started the last 4 games, although he got pulled in one of the games. He won one of them. And so you had a 4-game sample. And nobody knew. So then he comes back last year with Nick Sirianni. And the offense was so up and down. Like, they were a running team for a while. Then they just spread you out like they were a Big 12 team. And they threw bubble screens. And like, this sucks. This isn't an NFL offense. Like, you can't do this and win games. And then they had A.J. Brown this year. And he's a difference maker. You could throw jump balls like you did last week against Tennessee to A.J. Brown. And those two guys, Jalen is the godfather to A.J. Brown's daughter.
Wow.
Like, they're that close.
Wow.
So there's just this trust. And then there's, and A.J. catches everything with his hands.
Yeah.
And Jalen loves that because it gives the defensive back less time to react.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's, so they built the team up around him, and they've got the best offensive line in football. So you go, okay, I love Jalen. And Jalen's an MVP candidate. In fact, I think he is the MVP of the league right now. But, people can debate Mahomes or Burrow, whoever they want to do, but that's fine. Like, I couldn't say that Jalen was going to be this after 4 games. And so to Trey Lance, like, there's just no sample size.
It's funny because he was coached by Lane Kiffin in Alabama. He leaves Alabama, goes with Lincoln Riley in Oklahoma.
And Brian
Daboll, no doubt, down in Alabama. So he's been coached by a lot of good minds.
No, but that's not true, though.
It's not? You don't think so?
No, because Jalen will tell you, like, nobody coached me in Alabama.
What do you mean by that?
Well, like, he didn't learn anything. No, he was a runner. He'd scramble and buy time and do it.
Well, that's what I thought he was when he got replaced in that game.
And then Doug Peterson, he said he didn't learn anything. And so, this is, like, I don't know if this has to be repeated or whatever, but, like, Lincoln Riley really coached him, and he took a big jump.
Yes.
And all he wants to do, to Jalen's thing, like, coach me. Like, tell me, like, how to get to my third option on this play.
Yeah.
What I should be looking at. And, like, just help him. Give him the tools.
So then how many coaches out there are doing that? Because for the longest time it was you can't improve accuracy. That's what you either are accurate or you're not. And then it feels like Josh Allen kind of came around and everyone's like, whoa, Daboll coached it into him, or he worked on it, or whatever. However you want to make the dissemination there. And then Daniel Jones, you see Dayball with the success he's having there, maximizing what he can do, minimizing what he can't. And I don't even know if Daniel Jones is any good.
Luke Getsy in Chicago with Justin Fields has been done a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
It's a poorly coached position.
So I guess my question is, should I have faith as a 49er fan that they should stay the course with Trey Lance long term? Forget this year for a second. Long term with Shanahan.
Didn't Kyle send Trey down to L.A.?
Yep.
To work with Palmer?
Yep.
I don't know if it was Palmer, but he worked with somebody on his mechanics.
Oh, who's the guy from BYU?
No, but do you trust Kyle and him working together? Like, is there evidence as Kyle as a head coach, Kyle as an offensive coordinator? I mean, maybe I'm pressing too hard on this, Baldy.
No, but I mean, if you look at his first start against Arizona last year, like he ran the ball 20 times.
Yeah, that's.
He got hurt at the goal line. He got smashed.
He got hit way too much.
Two guys, Isaiah Simmons and somebody else, just
like Buda Baker just smashed him at the goal line. I'm like, and so I'm watching the game, and I'm saying to myself, what are you doing?
Yeah,
like I know he's a runner, and it helps the run game, but why are you running your quarterback 20 times
and getting him crushed?
Can we take anything away from that Texas game in week 17 last year?
He improved. He was not very good in the first half. Mm-hmm. He was better in the second half. Missed throws in the first half, made those throws in the second half. So you go, okay, well, the guy just sat. Like, I don't know why they didn't play him at all.
Yeah.
During that stretch from Arizona till then, like not even like a series, nothing. Like, I thought that was a mistake. And so I thought he was better in the second half against Houston. And so, he's just had, and he played one game his last year at North Dakota State, COVID. And the year before, he started, 16 games. Like, there's just not a sample size.
And back on the Jalen thing. So, like, is the position evolving in the sense of, like, you can't make these snap judgments on players so early, and you got to allow them times to grow? Or is that an outlier? Like, how are we viewing this? Because there's this tug and pull. The Niners have a win now roster now. Like, that's what everyone says. But they invested so much into the kid. That's what makes this such a conundrum. So I don't know where to stand as a Niner fan. I feel so conflicted.
Well, it's hard. Chicago's going through it now. It's hard to develop a young quarterback and win games.
Yeah.
Now they don't have a defense like San Francisco
or weaponry
or any of that. So got to build around the guy. Philadelphia has continually to build around Jalen Hurts.
Right.
Buffalo has continued to build around Josh Allen. But both those players have done a lot to improve their accuracy.
Gotcha.
Like Josh Allen spent the offseason during COVID in Los Angeles working on his footwork. And you can see like shortening his stride, just basics, so that his release is tighter. And it's got these releases now where it's almost pinpoint at times. And you could never say his first year that he'd ever be a pinpoint passer. And so now, like the touchdown throw last week to Gabriel Davis was sick. Yeah. He's running out of real estate. He's like on the sideline. He makes his throw. So you go, okay, but that's kind of how Mahomes plays. That's kind of how, like, you can say, well, Josh Allen was turning it over too much, and they were losing games. But you can't take that out of him.
No,
you got to let Mahomes. You got to let Mahomes make some mistakes because he's going to win these games making those same plays. And so last year he went through a stretch. They were 3-4. There was too many turnovers. His mom was like publicly going, it'd be good if the receivers caught the ball. Like all these things that were glancing off, receivers' hands. Like is that my son's fault? Like she was getting ticked. So there's some where you got to let them play, let them feel like they can extend the play, like the play's never over. There's some of that. You got to let them do that.
So we're talking.